If we have CEOs that are taking companies through these incredibly important tipping point moments. We find that that's typically staff-based because humans create complexity, right? So if I'm thinking about 25 employees, 75 employees, 150 employees, I would imagine that if you don't have consistency in compensation, at a certain point that becomes unbearable and really will cause the organization to implode. When do you think that is absolutely vital? Is that day one? Or is that when you get past one of those growth points? Or is it some other trigger that really is changing in the business? Like I'm thinking about getting serious about M&A and I'm going to go buy another firm. I got to have my own house in order. Like when do you think that this becomes more and more important, Tom?
Yeah, you mentioned the word consistency. When people are drafting and we're helping them draft their pay philosophy statement, we'll say, you know what, you're probably going to want to embed fairness and consistency as fundamental values in your pay philosophy statement so that people can't say, hey, you treated this person differently than me in similar circumstances. Now, there are always exceptions and there can be reasons for exceptions, but pay gets complicated as soon as you hire your first employee. And it gets more complicated when you hire your second one. So as your company grows, you enter into what we call compensation chaos. Decision-making becomes challenging in order to be fair and consistent. And you're not sure sometimes who to credit for decisions that have been made about pay. And so you need a system. We have an operating system we help clients embrace called the VisionLink compensation system. And it has some elements to it that say, okay, if you're doing these things consistently, you are now getting into the good operating system. Most organizations don't have a compensation expert until they're at maybe 300, 400, 500, 600 employees. Mm-hmm. They have an HR person or team that's charged with managing pay, but they don't usually have a specialist until they're at a certain point. So that's one reason it gets complicated. You need that consistent application of good processes to eliminate that chaos.
Yeah, and I would argue once you get past 25 people, you really do have to start thinking about that, which is why it's a perfect place for somebody like VisionLink to be able to help them come in, set the foundation before they make that leap of making their own internal hire and managing it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't wait till you've got 600 employees to hire that comp expert. Usually you need people with growing understanding and knowledge and expertise. And that's why there are firms like ours out there that help provide what we call fractional support, like fractional compensation leadership. So, right. And others do the same, but that can be very valuable and a good investment at the right time.